been working on the apricots as they are much easier because of the pit. It takes a lot more time because of how small they are. But we decided that we're going to do regular apricot jam, and then we're also going to try a jalapeno apricot jam. So Tom's been working on all of that while I've been chopping the apricots. You need 6 cups of chopped apricots, turmeric, ginger. I'll put all of the measurements in the description. But you need turmeric, ginger, 1 lime, the zest of a lime, your sure gel. You're going to end up needing 4.5 cups of sugar. I don't want to miss anything here. 3 jalapeno peppers, thinly sliced, seeds and all.
We had 3 cayennes.
And then Tom added 3 cayennes. And you can also do 1 tablespoon of butter, but we thought that was weird, so we're not going to do the butter. So right now it calls for bringing this stuff up to a boil, and then once it comes up to a boil, then you add in the rest of your sugar, and then we go from there. And right now my dishwasher has dishes in it, so I am putting my jars in the canner, and we're going to sterilize them that way. Okay, we have added that extra sugar, and now we're just waiting for it to come back up to another rapid boil. But look at this. I mean, look at that. Isn't it beautiful? This is going to be a gorgeous jar. So it's starting to boil right now. So we're going to continuously stir. And then once it gets to that rapid boil, where it starts popping everywhere, we will set the timer for a minute. And I think this is going to set up beautifully. It looks like it's already setting up a little bit. It looks thicker than the peach jam did, so I don't think I'm going to have to worry about cooking it down at all. I think I'll be able to keep it at that minute, but we're still going to have to skim off the foam off the top once we're done with that minute. We're just about there, and we've got our water going for the canner. We took the jars out, they're steaming, they're ready to go. Okay, so here you can tell I'm stirring, and the boil is not going away. So I'm going to set my timer for a minute, and we're going to keep stirring this so that we don't get any scorching, because we don't want to ruin this beautiful color that we got going on here. Well, and if you quit stirring at all, this stuff will just pop right out of the pan. You have to stir it rapidly in order to just keep it from getting out of control. I think this is going to be a really good jelly, especially if you like a little bit of heat, because that turmeric and ginger in here with that lime and lemon, it just smells so good. It's got a wonderful smell. I can imagine it's going to have a great flavor. I'm thinking the flavor is going to be like earthy. All right, our apricot jalapeno jelly is going into the jars. Oh, you guys, this is just beautiful jam. We did the plate test, and it's set up on the plate, so hopefully we get a good set. I always get nervous just because of the one time that I didn't get it and I ended up with syrup. It's really important that you do that test and don't skip that part, because That ensures that you'll get a good setup jam. Because sometimes you just have more juice in your fruit than somebody else might have. No two fruits are alike. And this was supposed to make 7 half pints. It'll be close to that. I think we're right on the money with that one. I'm going to finish ladling these up and get them in the canner for 10 minutes once it starts boiling. And that happened again. We said that we were supposed to have 7. We ended up with 8. We got 2 more to put in here. Okay, they've got an inch of water over the top. It is boiling already, so we are going to set this timer for 10 minutes, and then we will wait another 5 minutes after we shut it off, like we did the last time, before we take them out. Getting ready to take out our jars. We are not going to tip them. We're just going to set them over here gently. All of our peach ones that we did earlier, all set. They all sealed. I feel like they're sealing before they even get out of the pot because I haven't even heard one pop. Oh my gosh, you guys, look at this jar. It's just beautiful. I used to be a jar tipper, so it's very hard for me to leave that water sitting on top of that jar. I keep wanting to tip it, but I'm not going to. The other thing you always want to make sure you do is not set your jars down on just a counter. You always want to have a towel as a buffer, because if your counter is cold and you're setting those jars down on a cold counter without that towel, your jar may crack because of the difference in temperature. So there we go. Some beautiful jars to put up in our pantry. I still have to do a whole nother batch of the apricots and abriums. We also need to do the work on those green apples that we took off the tree. We have another day in the kitchen. Yesterday we were working on jams, and we got the peach jam done and it's set up beautifully. Then we got the apricot with the hot peppers in it done, but it did not set up correctly. So later today we are going to show you what we have to do in order to correct that to get a firmer set on that jam. Otherwise we're going to have to use it as a sauce. What we are working on today is our apples. We're going to make some apple jelly with all of these little apples that we had to pull from the tree, and this is mostly from the Anna apple. Its leaves were just hanging way low. It was just had way too much fruit to bear for the size of the tree right now. So we took a lot of it off, and on the Dorset, in a previous video you saw where I had to thin that one out, and I just put those in the compost. Well, I just don't want to keep putting produce in my compost that can be used. My produce that is going bad is what I put in my compost. Anything that is fresh, I would like to try to use in any way possible. So I looked up some recipes, and you can actually make jelly out of these. So that's what I'm going to try to do today, and we're going to see how it turns out. And you're supposed to be able to do it without even using pectin. So I have a lot to do. I have to cut these open. I have to get out all the cores and the stems. I don't have to peel them. And then we have to cook them down after that. So I am guessing this is probably going to take me a couple hours to get all of these apples cored and stemmed. We'll see how well I do. We're starting early this morning. We were already up at 5, have already been to the grocery store, back home, had breakfast, coffee, and now it's time to get to work. So I'll come back after we are done coring and stemming these, and we'll go to the next step. I've finally got all of the apples done. I started at about 9:30 and it is now 1 o'clock. With these small apples, plan on it taking you for a while if you do this. There's other ways that you can do it where people don't go through all the trouble that I went through, but some people were saying that there's cyanide in the seeds, and then other people were saying that the blossom end of your apple, this end right here, gets all caught up in the boiling process. It breaks down and then it goes through your mesh, and then it can get into your jelly. So I didn't want to take a chance on having any of that in there either. So I did core all of them. I did not peel them because we will be breaking it down and putting it through a mesh strainer. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to split these up into 2 separate pots because I don't want so many apples in one pot. It's just going to take too much time for them to break down. I actually even thought about putting them all in a roaster and breaking them down that way, which I also could have done. But that probably would have taken a lot longer than doing it this way on the stove. I may actually have to go with 3. I'm filling these about half full, and then we have to put water in them just till they seem like they're floating a little. You don't want these getting totally covered with the water. But you need something in the base while it's breaking down so that your apples don't scorch. So my apples are not covered. It's probably about half of the way of where the apples are is how much water I put in. And I have them in the sink because I had so many, but I also added lemon juice to my sink water to try to keep my apples from turning brown while I was doing all that cutting. We're going to get out one more pan. Like I said, I could have done this in a stock pot, but I don't want... I think that would just take as long as that I put it in a roaster. Because these will break down quite a bit. I'm actually gonna, this one's gonna be fuller. I'm gonna bring those other ones back over here and put some more in those. I'll still be very interested to see just how much juice I get out of this with them being small and not fully formed. There's not going to be a huge amount of juice coming out of these, I don't think. probably going to take a while. I had some people say that it took 30 minutes to an hour. Another person left theirs on for 2 hours. So what you're going to be looking for when you do this is for your apples to be totally broken down. Now I don't have any cores in here, so I don't need to take the time to break down the cores, but your apples are going to be fairly mushy. But I also don't want to mash them from what I was reading, because then that stuff gets into your jelly. So I'm going to turn them, but I'm going to try not to mash them too much, because I don't want mush and I don't want all of that stuff in my jelly when I go to strain it. All right, I wanted to pop in here and show you how things are going. We are at now 1:48. It's been almost an hour. And as you can tell, let me get a fork. These are starting to get nice and soft. They're like a, yeah, see, they kind of break like you would a potato. If you were cooking a potato and waiting for it to get soft for a baked potato. So we have probably about another hour that we're going to be cooking these down to get the juice. I did put more water in each one of these before it started breaking down. I will no longer add water at this point, because now that it's starting to break down, I would lose the flavor of the juice. So it's still not covering. It's still maybe about three quarters of the way with the water in each one of these pots. So we're going to continue letting these boil down and break down, but they have quite a ways to go before they're totally broken down. And I'm already seeing a significant change in the color of the water, so I'm guessing this will be beautiful by the time that it's done. We're back. It is now 3 o'clock, so, well, 2:49, 2:50. So these cooked down for almost 3 hours. I did add water here and there when I saw that it was depleting, and I have tasted it, and it just tastes amazing. So I still have all of my apple juice flavor. If I go like this, these are just turning right into mush, and that's what I didn't want, because I want to get as much juice as possible out of these apples. So at this point, I'm going to show you what I did. I'm going the old-fashioned way, and I'm going to explain that to you. We're going to take each one of these individually over to the table, and I'll show you what we're going to do there. As you can see, I'm going the old-fashioned way. I saw an older woman on the YouTube doing it this way, only she had a flat stool, so I'm a little bit nervous because of the back on these. I'm hoping that that doesn't provide pressure to tip. And she used rubber bands. I'm using zip ties and the old-fashioned flour towels that you would use to cover up your breads before you bake them. So I'm going to take a measuring cup, and I'm going to start with my pods, getting some of it out before I go pouring the rest in, because I don't want a splash effect. And then what should happen, yep, there it goes, awesome. I didn't know if it was going to work or not. You can see the juice dripping into the pot, or into the stainless steel pan that I have underneath that cloth. Because this needs to strain for quite a while in order for all those juices to come out without me squeezing it and not only getting the juice. So right now I'm only getting juice, but if I were to go start squeezing that, I'm likely to get some of the mush and the pulp. And I don't want that in my jelly. I want a nice, clean, clear jelly. So this is going to probably sit here for a good hour or so until there's no liquid left in those. I'm going to take the other big pot, put it in this one, and then I'm going to split the other pot in between the two. And then we'll look and see what's going on there. Because for this recipe, I believe I needed 5 cups of juice. And believe it or not, all of those apples will probably give me 5 to 7 cups. So we'll have to see once it's all strained out. We're back. We've got our apple juice here ready to make it into jelly. We need to turn on the heat. Then we need to whisk in our pectin. It's 1 package of pectin for 5 cups of apple juice. I did end up with more than 5 cups. What I'm going to do with that extra is freeze it, so the next time I go to make apple jelly, if I'm running short, I will still have that apple juice left over. And if I don't need it, then I can also use it in smoothies. So we need to stir this. We need to bring this to a boil. I've got my lids back in the back heating up. They're getting pretty warm. I don't want to boil them. I just want to get them sterilized. I got my jars in here sterilized, ready to go. And then I need to pull out a bowl. I don't need that big of a bowl. Because if there's any foam on the top of this, we need to skim that off when we're done. This recipe calls for 7 cups of sugar. So once this comes to a boil, we'll add in our sugar, and then we bring it back to a full rolling boil. And once it gets to a rolling boil, then we need to set a timer for 1 minute and keep stirring so it doesn't scorch the bottom of the pan. And once that's done, we put it into the jars. This whole time thing really makes me nervous because we did exactly as the directions said yesterday for the pepper jelly, and we're going to have to redo that. I wanted to get to that today, but with as long as those apples took me, I got way behind schedule. So again, you can only do what you can do in a day. So I do need to get this jelly done and the apricot jam, which I have all of the apricots for the apricot jam in here, but I need to finish this jelly first in order to be able to sterilize more jars. Because I am out of the half-pint jelly jars after I do this jelly, so I'm going to be putting the apricot jam in full pints. And there is a lot of foam on top of this jelly right now. I'm going to bring you in so you can see that. Okay, we are coming back up to a boil. It's not yet at a rapid boil because when I'm stirring I can whisk away the boil, but it's pretty close. And I think I better hurry up and put a glove on, because this is going to want to splatter. Okay, we are now at a rolling boil. So I'm going to set my timer for 1 minute. Oh, this is foamy. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. I don't want to lose that roll, but just tip it up just a little bit. There's a lot of foam on there. Pull this off the heat a little bit, and I'm going to get this to tame down. And then we have to take it off the heat and get rid of that foam. And from my understanding, when you're dealing with a jelly instead of a jam, it's going to seem more liquidy because you don't have any of that pulp. You've just got the liquid. So it needs like 24 hours to set. But I definitely don't want any of this foam in my jars. I also have my teapot going just in case I needed more water in my canner to cover my jars. Otherwise, if you're just putting regular water back in your canner and it's not hot, it takes it a while to heat back up. Okay, I think that's about as much as we're going to get off of there. Okay, now going to move over to canning. Okay, let's get this over here. Whoops, my apron. We're going to fill these the same as we filled the other jars with a 1/4 inch of head. Okay, well, my hands are getting sticky, so I'm hoping that that's setting up just like I think it is. Here's our vinegar water. Need to wash off our rims. Get this out of the way. Okay, we've got everything in the canner. We're going to put this lid on. I've got over 1 inch of headspace with the water from the jars. Once it comes to a boil, we'll set the timer for 10 minutes and we'll see what it looks like when it comes out. Okay, we have the timer just about ready to go off on this, and we're going to turn that off. I've got the apricots in here with the pectin and the sugar getting ready to come up to a boil. So we're going to turn that off for a moment. We're going to take this lid off, let that water simmer down. I just needed to quit boiling to be able to pull those jars out. They say to wait for 5 minutes. You don't have to. The reason for that is because of the boiling water. But do your best not to tip your jars. I need to get these out of here though, because I need to get more jars in here to start sterilizing. Oh, I heard a pop. your jar in, don't just plop it in. See, I went straight down like that. You need to turn it and let it fill, and then put it in. My gosh, you guys, look at these jars. They're just beautiful. Get this last one out. Oh, I forgot to put one more in. Okay, 1, 2, need to put one more in there. Okay, I'm going to put that lid back on. Just let them sit in that hot water for a minute. Stir this. This is starting to come up to temperature. And it looks like we'll probably have to be skimming off some foam off of this one also. Okay everybody, we are back. It has been a fun 2-day weekend for me. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend, and I will get this video out to you as soon as I figure out how to edit it with this new camera. But we came out with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 peach jars of peach jam, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 jars of apple jelly, which looks like it's setting up pretty nicely. And then we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 jars of regular apricot jam. And then we are going to show you what we're going to do with this in our next video. But we had 6, 7, 8 jars of the apricot jalapeno pepper jam. So we're going to go over that next time because we ran out of time today. And with the remainder of my apple juice, I am going to pour it into these ice cube trays and freeze it. So I have concentrated apple juice for anything that I need concentrated apple juice for. I'm going to get this finished, and then I'm going to get this in the freezer. Thank you so much for spending time with me today and this weekend. Again, I thank you very much, and if you would like to keep coming along with us for more videos, subscribe below. We always appreciate that, and we love to have you come along. We'll see you on the next video.